It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Oh yeah, what is going on, my pretty babies? Lee Sanders with you guys for this Thursday night edition of the RCWR show. Is it me, or does it seem like the desk needs to be raised a little bit higher? I'm trying to find that right sweet spot. Watch this. My dog is going to bark. Chloe's going to bark because she is not used to a desk going up and down. I can't, sometimes I forget that I've had her since she was a little tiny thing in the palm of my hand. And for the longest time, whenever I would come into this studio to do the shows, you longtime listeners know, I would always say, "Hey, she's by my feet. She's sleeping by my feet." Or most times I would have her in my arms when she was that tiny and everything. My whole point, she's not used to a desk moving. So let's see what happens here. I'm trying to find that right sweet spot. Let's see what we can do here. Let's raise that up a little higher. And I think, can we get higher than that? Oh yeah, we get higher. We can get even higher than that. Take it, take it a little bit higher than that. Okay, so I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's good. Let's turn this off because I really don't need this anymore. Turn my fan off. What's going on, fam? Lee Sanders with you guys. Thank you guys for checking out this Thursday night edition of the RCWR show for this January 16th, 2025. Said we were going to be coming back with another episode for you guys. Hope y'all been fantastic over here in the DC region. We are gearing up for some more snow. It looks like for the next couple of hours, if we're lucky, depending on where we are, it's just going to be a light dusting. Some areas are maybe going to be looking at about an inch, possibly 2 inches, but vast majority, it's just going to be a dusting. But see, the real key is going to be how is it overnight, because it's not going to be going anywhere. So is that dusting going to be turning into some black ice? That is the real deal. But if it does turn into black ice, we got a nice good thing going on over here this weekend, because we're going to be in the mid to upper 40s. So that's going to help us out a ton with any type of a freeze that's going to be happening overnight tonight. But we got a serious system that's going to be coming, I believe, Saturday night, maybe Sunday morning. That's going to be bringing us a couple of inches. I'm staying on top of that because I'm trying to make sure I don't have to, if I don't have to deal with it, I'm trying to make sure I don't have to be out there on the road and everything. Also, Monday, we are gearing up for the inauguration of our next president of the United States. It seems that there are a lot of people that want to do their part in making sure that everything runs smoothly this go round compared to several years ago, going back to, what was that, 2017. So yeah, a whole lot that is going on over here in our respective neck of the woods. Hopefully it's been good at you all's neck of the woods. Hey man, before we dive into things, I just want to say, depending on how things are looking with that snow and all that, make sure you guys do your best. If you're going to get hit up with a lot of snow, make sure you're looking out for those with disability, and make sure you're looking out for the elderly, because we definitely don't need to be leaving them hanging with all of this snow that's going on. I was watching the news the other day. I was not aware of this, but apparently you can sign up to be a volunteer in your local area for shoveling snow for those that aren't able to do so. So definitely take advantage of that if you are the type that maybe doesn't like knocking on your next door neighbor or two or three and seeing if they're okay and everything. But besides the snow, I cannot complain. As far as my respective week goes, everything has been honestly, I am on cloud nine right now. I reached out to some professors this week and I said, hey, can you do me a solid? I need letters of recommendation because basically I've been encouraged by some of my same professors, new and old. Basically, they're like, look, you're more than ready now. It's time for you to start going out there, start hitting up those paid internships, start hitting up those paid positions. You're more than ready. Go out there and do the damn thing. You're more than ready now. Like, you're literally about to graduate and transfer. So go ahead, start doing it. It's nice. It's one thing when you feel like you're coming along, you feel like you're maybe almost ready, but it's another thing when you have your professors, peers too, but really the professor saying, go get it already. You're good to go. So I spent this week kicking back and asking some of my professors, hey, can you do me a solid? Can you give me letters of recommendation? And all of them were like, yes, yes. Some of them have already came in. My God, I was amazed at how quick some of the letter of recommendations kicked in. Some of them, it was like it wasn't even 48 hours, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. It's like you've captured me so perfectly. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this. So I'm gearing up for the 4-year transfer to college and everything. Was spending all of this week making sure I had everything I needed. It was pretty easy for me to get it down as far as, okay, where do I want to transfer to? Because my thought process was, well, number one, I definitely want to go to whoever has the very best major for journalism. But then at the same time, I want to take advantage of perks that my current community college has, as far as like a working relationship with the 4-year institutions I'm thinking about. But I was looking at George Mason University. I was looking at Georgetown University. I was looking at the University of Maryland, go Terps. I also was I considered strongly Howard University. And in talking with some classmates, particularly professors as well, but mainly classmates, some had actually came from Howard University, and they were telling me about some of the bad experiences that they had over there. They couldn't recommend it, and it was like, really? And then that that basically, when I went to ask some of the professors and got some counseling advice, they pretty much were like, yeah, you kind of want to stay away from Howard. I'm like, oh, like, okay, well, that's yeah, all right, we'll do it then. All right, we'll stay away from that one. So yeah, I got my list down to 3. So we're gonna see what happens as far as who's gonna take me, who's willing to accept me, and all that. So that's pretty much really been my week besides work and everything. Hey, before we go any further into the show, I definitely want to take this time out. Unless you've been laying low from social media all day and you do not know, as I definitely reacted to the news on social media, rest in peace to broadcaster, sportscaster, actor, great. You know what? Some people may not think of him as a comedian, but I tell you what, his comedic timing was excellent. It was perfect. I'm honestly a bit surprised that he didn't go on a one-man tour. That's how funny I think he is. I know when I was a kid growing up, I used to always see him every time I would turn on Johnny Carson. I would always see him on there. Rest in peace to Bob Uecker, who passed away at the age of 90. It's a riveting story when you think about Mr. Euchre, because here is this man that played baseball for such a very short period of time. I mean, we're talking maybe 5, 6 years at best, 5 to 6 years at best. And it was a mediocre career, nothing that is outstanding, nothing that is, oh my God, he was like the Michael Jordan of nothing of that magnitude whatsoever. And yet, this man was able to have a long lasting, thriving career when it came to sportscasting, when it came to broadcasting. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know how many of you all, and I look at the analytics and I have a general idea of what's going on with our audience. I know you all are mainly in your 30s and up, so you may get this reference that I'm about to mention here. But he reminds me of the real life Oscar Madison from The Odd Couple. And those that remember The Odd Couple, you remember that Oscar Madison was a sports beat writer. And, he had really, really damn good takes. I believe Oscar Madison at some point tried to do a little bit of announcing, but that didn't really work out so well, if I remember right. But he mainly was a sports beat writer. And Bob Uecker, for him to have the type of career that he was able to have outside of baseball, sometimes as I was just reflecting growing up, watching him, I definitely think about the Miller Lite commercials from back in the day. And it's so funny. It's so I can't find the right word I'm looking for right now. I'll just say, on the day that we find out he passed, I find it kind of ironic that when you look at the infamous Miller Lite commercial where he goes, "Oh, I must be sitting in the front row." There is a statue of him. Everybody knows the statue. But there's a picture that's floating around on social media where somebody opened a can of Miller Lite and it's sitting right in front of his statue. And you're like, hey, well, if there is a utopia, if there is a heaven, he's definitely getting a front row seat right now. And God bless that man. Seriously. Of course, I remember him from when he was doing his thing in Mr. Belvedere. That is a show from the 1980s. I don't know how many of you guys remember that series, but Mr. Belvedere from the 1980s. Bob Uecker was on there. And it's funny that we're talking about, sports beat writer, and the guy pretty much came off like um, a real life Oscar Madison, because he was a sports beat writer on that show named George. What was it? George Owens. And I shared a clip from that show on social media because it was one memory in particular that I had in my mind. You didn't have to be a baseball fan. It's just if you're around my age or older, you definitely knew who Bob Uecker was, what he was all about, the countless films that the guy was in, the number of interviews that he gave over the years. Here's what's so cool about this guy. When you hear the fact that this was a 90-year-old and you go, well, this old man, is kind of irrelevant to me, like really doesn't have anything to me. Just think about this. When he went into the whole broadcasting, sportscasting, he held that position for, like, my God, it feels like maybe almost 6 decades. Now, he might have reduced his schedule a little bit in calling games, but he was still active right on up until his death. I'm trying to think of the name of the reporter, but somebody had did a sit down interview with him. You can see this; it's on social media. Somebody did a sit down interview with him last year, and they were asking him, hey, how do you do it? What keeps you going? What motivates you? All that stuff. And it was a really fun interview. He might look 90, he might look like Father Time has definitely caught up to him, but I tell you what, his mind was still as sharp as ever, still right there. Very, very amazing. You just can't help but look at that and go, man, you know, uh, knock on wood. I hope that, in good health, Lady Luck on my side, Lord willing. Hey, I hope that because most people sadly they're not as fortunate when they get that up there in age because they could obviously be dealing with some form of dementia or worse. So for him to conduct that interview pretty much shortly before his death, and this guy is still pretty damn, quick-witted and everything, all inspiring. So definitely gonna miss him. Definitely gonna miss him. Of course, I'm thinking about that Major League Baseball movie with Charlie Sheen, and it just I'd be here all night going through that. But hey, look, this is how we do it here on the RCWR show. I know we got Maria saying, "What's up, wrestling fans?" Look, I don't want people to get the impression that, all we do is talk about wrestling because that would be such a silly stigma to label with us. We just so happen to talk about wrestling, but as we say here on the show since 2011, covering the latest in wrestling entertainment and beyond, you know. And I go on and on and on about Bob Uecker because he actually does tie into wrestling. Believe it or not, this is where I got to educate some of our younger listeners out there because I know some of them are like, wrestling, wrestling, wrestling. Well, here's something wrestling related for you guys. Bob Uecker ties into the WWE because in 1987 and then again in 88, he had came into the WWE and he served as a special ring announcer slash backstage interviewer. And of course, I'm remembering the infamous clip where he's backstage, he's interviewing um he's interviewing Andre the Giant, or rather, Andre the Giant comes crashing into his scene because Bob Uecker, all he's thinking about is Vanna White. He's trying to figure out where exactly Vanna White is. And Andre the Giant comes into the scene. And, he's pretty much going, Hulk Hogan, I had one agenda, which was making sure you were no longer the WWF champion. And that's what I did. I accomplished my mission, and you're no longer the WWF champion. And Bob Uecker's just looking on. He's definitely, he is selling the look of fear big time. And he's trying to kid and joke his way out of it and everything. He's like, I'm just here minding my business. I'm just here looking for Vanna White. And Andre's like, don't worry about Vanna White. You worry about me. And we see poor Bob Uecker. He's just standing there. And when you look at Andre the Giant's hand that is on Euchre's shoulder, I mean, my God, Andre the Giant's hand, first of all, it was almost like five hands put together that's on Euchre's shoulder. Let alone that hand is almost taking up half of Euchre's shoulder. You're going, holy hell, look at that. And then the segment ends with Andre just shaking the hell out of Euchre's neck. And Euchre just sells that like a mofo. It was badass. I loved it. Of course, I'm also thinking about when him and Jesse the Body Ventura had mouth off just a little bit there. Hilarious stuff. But since 1971, Uecker served as the play-by-play announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers radio broadcast, pretty much right on up until his death. But as far as the wrestling world goes, and he is a WWE Hall of Famer, by the way. He was inducted for his contributions to WWE. He was inducted in 2010. Go look that up if you guys don't believe me. But in 2010, everything started with an appearance at WrestleMania 3 out there in Pontiac, Michigan, where he was the ring announcer for the pay-per-view in the main event. Hulk Hogan taking on Andre the Giant and everything. That got followed up in 1988, WrestleMania 4 and everything. So, yeah, inducted into the Celebrity Wing in 2010. So, rest in peace, Bob Uecker. A lot of fun memories right there. Let me make sure I haven't even done a audio test yet. Let me make sure that our audio is on point for this stream here. I just want to play this back, make sure we're okay. Always pays to make sure you got audio. And for some reason, I cannot load that up. Bear with me a second here, folks. I just want to make sure stream is stream is healthy. There we go. And we got audio. Folks, I just want to make sure. Yeah, we got audio. Good, 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 good. Another passing that went down was filmmaker, musician, renowned filmmaker. Let me make sure I put some respect on this guy's name. Renowned filmmaker, definitely a fantastic musician. David Lynch, who passed away at the age of 78. My God, his filmography, some would consider it to be kind of short. I get that, but when you see the type of work that he puts out there, you kind of go, well, he might not have that much to show for, but you can definitely see the quality in his work. If you are a fan of the series Twin Peaks from back in the day, I know there was a reboot that happened a couple of years ago. Yeah, that David Flinch, writer, filmmaker, producer, he passed away at the age of 78. It's pretty nice seeing all the tributes that's been coming in for him. Social media just dominating with so many fond memories of David Lynch. Hollywood, the Hollywood industry, as well as the music industry, they're definitely taking Lynch's passing very hard, very hard. And, not for nothing, but, when you hear 78, I don't want some people to go, oh, that's kind of getting up there in age. That's old. And like this guy was still active. This guy was still active. How active? The man was actually, at the time of his death, he was actually working on, last I saw on IMDb, I believe it was 4 different projects that he was working on. So it's not like one of those deals where, oh, this old man, he just disappeared. And, that wasn't the case at all. And then when you think about what went down with the Twin Peaks revival, that wasn't that long ago, believe it or not. So he was very, very active still in the entertainment industry right on up until his death. If you want to check out some funny, I almost forgot about this, but going back to Bob Uecker one more time, if you want to see some funny stuff, go online and look up Howard Stern. Just type on YouTube, Howard Stern, Norm Macdonald, Artie Lane, Bob Uecker. Somehow play around with those keywords and you'll find some hilarious stuff online, or type in Bob Uecker, Norm Macdonald, David Letterman, like type that stuff in. But yeah, we lost 2 good ones right there. So look, as we always do on this show, we go a little bit all over the place. I do want to talk a little bit about what had went down on this week's NXT. I don't want to do a full blown review though of NXT. That's the thing. I don't want to do that. I just want to talk about some key points. I definitely want to talk about some key points that happened from this week's AEW Dynamite, and we'll definitely go into a nice discussion about Corey Graves and his tweet and delete fiasco there. We'll also take a look at the TNA Genesis card because TNA is doing a pay per view this weekend. By the way, speaking of TNA, with regards to this week's TNA Impact Wrestling, I had saw the card earlier and I said, "Oh wow, this actually looks like a pretty damn good card for this week." We got Trent Seven taking on Leon Slater. Laredo Kid goes up against Jake Something. Eric Young and Steve Macklin take on First Class. Meanwhile, Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry will go face to face. We'll hear from Josh Alexander and the Northern Armory. Rosemary and Masha Slamovich. Looks like there is some type of a confessional segment they're going to be doing. And Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance's pre-launch championship celebration by Elegance. Try saying that 10 times fast. So we got all that's going to be going down. That's going to be on TNA Impact this week. By the way, I don't know if you all have seen the new Tasha Steele's photo that's running around, pretty much promoting TNA Genesis. Lord, have mercy. Have mercy. That's all I got to say. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look up that image real quick and come on back. Lord, that is one fine looking sister. I got to tell you, that's one fine looking sister. But I'm thinking about NXT from this past week. It was great seeing Bailey out there closing out the show, talking with Roxanne Perez, which, by the way, WWE Supercard players, don't forget the new Battle Pass that's going to be launching, I believe, tomorrow, actually, about this time tomorrow. It's going to be a Roxanne Perez battle card. So, I don't know how the graphics look for that yet. I don't even know if the graphics have been revealed for that Battle Pass card, but that's what's going to be coming up. It was interesting seeing Bailey come out and pretty much say to Roxanne Perez, "Hey, look, you've done just about everything there is to accomplish in NXT. It's about time for you to look at the bigger picture. It's time for you to think better, do better." Bailey actually encouraging Roxanne Perez to, hey, think about coming on up to the main roster. Maybe, I guess, in a nutshell, Bailey was making her greatest sales pitch to Perez, why Perez should consider taking advantage of this whole transfer window and come on up to the main shows in SmackDown or Raw. And Perez shooting that down real quick, letting Homegirl know, yeah, bump you, bump CM Punk, bump all y'all because yeah, I might have looked up to you all at some point, but I'm way past you all. I think if anything, y'all could learn a thing or two from me. Maybe I can be the one that can teach you all a little something, something, because I seem to be having a lot going on. I seem to be doing everything right, basically. This pretty much led to Bailey having, wasn't really that good of a verbal comeback, I would have to say, for Perez. I mean, okay, you make fun of her height. Okay, whatever, right? And I mean, look, not for nothing, but when we did reference Roxanne Perez's height several weeks back, we didn't reference it in a mocking type of way, the way Bailey had did in this segment. We mentioned Roxanne's height as potentially, hey, when she comes up on the main roster, yeah, I mean, she's getting over really good in that NXT universe, but she's so tiny. She's right there with AJ Mendez. Remember the idea that I had pitched? I said, you can't have Roxanne Perez just come up by herself. Maybe instead, what you need to do is have her be a part of some type of a entourage, is what I had pitched. Do y'all remember that? I said, in a perfect world, if it was up to me, I'd have her come up on the main roster. I would have her with Ethan Page, and I would have her with Omaz, and I would just let them wreak havoc on the main roster. I thought that would be a very interesting. Just think back to when AJ was doing her thing with Big E and Dolph Ziggler. Like, why not kind of replicate that, but make it even better? Is my whole argument. So to see that there's these seeds that's pretty much been planted there with Roxanne Perez, and kind of a, well, will she or won't she maybe move on to the main shows? I think only the next couple of weeks is really gonna tell us the situation that's going to be going on from there. But it was nice seeing Bailey appear on NXT. I got to give WWE marks from this standpoint. So you had The Rock a couple of weeks ago. Oh, or actually, no, that was Monday Night Raw was on January 6th, and then what? New Year's Evil was on the 7th, right? It was the very next night. Wow, yeah, I can't believe it's already been more than a week since that happened. It feels like it's been 2 weeks or more. But you had The Rock on last week's NXT. So yeah, to basically follow it up essentially with a favorite there. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether she's a heel or a babyface. You still got a decent amount of people that love them some Bailey. So the fact that you followed up with Bailey, some good stuff right there. Not to mention, you also sprinkled in Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, DIY, our tag team champions on the main roster. Basically, they were there scouting the competition, almost kind of foreshadowing what they were mainly scouting and looking at was Axiom and, oh God, I'm drawing a blank on my man's name there, Nathan Frazier. They basically, have been seeing what's been happening with them over these last couple of months. They wanted to get a better look at those guys. And obviously, that's a foreshadowing of things to come as far as those two respected tag teams locking it up. Real question is this going to be a case where when they do lock up, it's going to be a winner take all type of ordeal, or what? To be continued on that one. I know we had got a little bit of last minute, I guess, hype for Obafemi's defending the NXT World Heavyweight Championship against that Indian guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name because and to every single respective fan that's out there, if you like that guy's work, mad respect to you. He does nothing for me. Every time I see this guy appear on my TV, I just I fast forward. I fast forward. Very seldom will I watch NXT in real time. Usually I'm watching it nowadays. Now that I have the free time right now between semesters, I'm finding myself and work. I'm finding myself watching NXT more, but unless it's kind of like one of those, hey, it's New Year's Evolution, or they're doing like a special themed event episode on a Tuesday night. Unless they're doing something of that nature, I typically watch the next day and everything. But that guy does nothing for me. Nothing for me. Why he keeps getting whiffs of championship opportunities, why he keeps getting involved and getting put in these title pictures and all that. It's like, what the hell? Like, is he dating Ava in real life? Why are we continuing to get this guy in these marquee spots that honestly, I'm not seeing anything? I'm going WWE. Who else do you have? You got to have somebody else in that position. You got to. There's got to be somebody else in the back, somebody that, if the fans laid their eyes on this guy, they definitely would get behind, right? He's not. It's really, really weird because if you were to say to me, well, Lee, and then throw this back in my face, why don't you? Hey, Lee, you always say as long as a wrestler gets any type of a reaction, like any reaction is better than no reaction at all. And I would say to you, yes, that is very true. But these type of reactions this guy is getting, it is more so of a we don't care for you, get the hell out the ring. That's the kind of energy I'm picking up from this guy. I don't know. I don't know. Look, I don't see Obafemi losing that championship. That's for damn sure. I don't see him losing it to the Indian guy. What is his name? I'm drawing a blank. I'm about to just call him Warpath. That's every time, or maybe he's Wahoo. No, I'm not going to even call him Wahoo McDaniel's Light. I'm not going to even do that to the great. No, I'm not going to even call him that. But yeah, that's how irrelevant that guy is. I'll tell you one major positive thing from NXT that I was checking out this week. And I said, you know what? Homegirl is coming along very, very well. And that is, I want to give a shout out to my girl, Lash Legend. I hadn't seen her in a good minute. And I tell you what, to see what she did pairing up against because that was metaphor basically. They took on the unholy union. What's her partner's name? Give me a second here. Let me look up her partner's name and I'll be able to tell you here. Da 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 da. Jackson, but I can't picture the first name. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't picture the first name. Sadly, don't worry about it. But metaphor, Lash Legend. I would mainly want to home in on Lash Legend. She has come leaps and bounds from last. I was really paying attention to her on a regular basis. There is more charisma and everything that she does, whether she's on offense or defense. There is more poise. There is a calmness about her. And what I mean by there's a calmness about her, I can remember a Lash Legend that was just trying to rush and do whatever moves that needed to be done. And it was like, slow the tempo down. You want to slow it down because otherwise you'll be reckless. And when you're reckless, you'll hurt somebody and all that. Like, really take your time. And she has really come into her own as a character. I see big things on the horizon for Lash Legend. That is definitely somebody I'm eyeing going, she, and I even said way back then, I said, she's got something. She's just got to string it all together. And she's coming along. She is coming along. I'm very, very impressed with her. I definitely am looking forward to seeing what she's going to be able to accomplish in this calendar year. Meanwhile, Cora Jade went up against Kalani Jordan. Okay, of a match, rather decent. Um, it's interesting. It's interesting because I thought where Kalani Jordan was starting to go, I thought it was that of a heel because she was showing heel like tendencies over the last few weeks. So to see that that's been pulled back a bit here, I gotta say, I was a little bit surprised that Jordan, first of all, was in the position that she was in, as she was the one that had to face Cora Jade. But then, two, I'm looking at Cora Jade and I'm going, well, Cora Jade definitely needed a dub. I just don't know if I would have had that dub be against Kalani Jordan. That's just me personally, but I'm glad that they did this with Cora Jade, but I'm looking at Cora going, so what exactly are we doing here with Cora? Because right now it just kind of feels like with everything being invested right now in Julia and Stephanie Vakir, it kind of seems as though maybe with Cora J, maybe she's on her way out of NXT. Who knows what's going on there? Eddie Trope, that's who I was. Damn, Eddie Trope. Remember I was talking about the Indian guy getting ready to take on Obafemi for the NXT title? Yeah, Eddie Trope. I only know how I remember that name now because the way I remembered it, oh, Eddie Trunk, but Eddie Trope. Eddie Trunk is like this big radio personality. He is like an encyclopedia of all things hard rock and metal. So yeah, that's unfortunately how I've been remembering that guy's name, Eddie Trope. Lord have mercy. But not too bad of a shabby show of NXT for this week. So some quick results. Shotzi Blackheart defeated Stephanie Vakir via roll up. By the way, great to see Shotzi. Great to see the unholy reunion being featured more and more on NXT. If you were to tell me, look, as far as them maybe bouncing between all the shows, okay, great. But if you were to tell me, no, 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 primarily you're going to see Shotzi and you're going to primarily see the unholy union on NXT, I say, you know what? I'm okay with that because honestly, it just wasn't resonating. It just wasn't resonating well on the main roster for whatever respective reason. It wasn't clicking. So at least in the NXT, that NXT realm, that is more of a okay, this is for that particular niche of a wrestling fan. This is for that fan for sure. Let's be honest, NXT, that is mainly for that fan that eat, sleeps, breathes the independence. They're going on YouTube, they're looking up certain people, right? They're the ones that's going to the indie shows and all that, doing those independent meet and greets with folks. Speaking of meet and greets, I got to make sure I plug this again because it's going to be happening next Saturday. As a matter of fact, next Saturday, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after. WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons, Farouk, damn, he's going to be stopping by my favorite store whenever I want some wrestling collectibles. He's going to be heading to Winchester, Virginia, Squared Circle Collectible Store. And they've got some really good prices, man, for the photo ops. You're looking at photo ops, $30. You want to get an 8x10, get that autographed or whatever, that's going to be $30. They got combos available for, I think it's $50 or $60. I mean, that's still pretty damn good. You can't beat that. I did reach out to them because they did not specify it, but I did reach out to them to ask because I actually had a couple of you guys private message me and say, Lee, is Ron Simmons going to be signing belts and stuff? Because it doesn't look like that's covered. And so I did reach out to the folks at the store. I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I'm hoping that by the time we get to next Monday's show, I'll have that update for you guys. But I would like to believe they're gonna do that. I like to believe they're gonna take advantage of that. But we'll see what happens there. But I like the fact that we got the Shotzi and Unholy Union. I like that we got them down there working more with these up and coming talents and all that. Fraxium continues to be on such a, just when you think maybe this is going to be it, this is going to be that moment where everything just implodes here and they're going to lose the tag titles, and somehow they are able to overcome the odds. It's quite amazing what happens with these guys week in and week out. Covered some a lot of interesting things on this show for this week. I personally felt next week should be pretty good, as well as we got pretty much a month of build up to go until NXT Vengeance Day, which is actually going to be happening at the what's that, the Sports and Entertainment Arena out here in Washington D.C. I actually did some research and I was trying to see what was going on with tickets. And let me tell you, expensive. Expensive for front row seats. I was seeing anywhere between $500 to over $600. And I had did this on Ticketmaster about 3 days ago. Because I said to the wifey, hey, looks like WWE is doing something leading into Valentine's Day. Looks like they're going to do Smackdown on one day, and the next day, and Smackdown, that's going to be at the Capitol Arena. Same prices, same prices, same freaking prices for Smackdown and the NXT show. You just can't help but look at that and go, how exactly does that make sense? Like, it doesn't. And it doesn't. With the slight edge going more so to SmackDown. SmackDown, obviously, the more expensive ticket and everything. Daddy's doing a show right now. I can't help you right now. You best salivate on what you nibbled on earlier. That's gonna have to tie you over until the stream is over. I've got my youngest dog. She's making her trademark sound, letting me know she's about ready to EAT. I can't say the actual word, because when you say the actual word, oh man, they know that word. They go bonkers. They go bonkers. So I'm trying to do my best to it's weird too, because I fed them purposely just a little bit late today, knowing that I was going to be doing this show. So and I've been giving them nothing but, and I got to spell this out because if I say that word, they're definitely going to go crazy. But I've been giving them TREATS all day. Hey, no. You're not gonna, no. You're not gonna, no. Go play. Go do something. Bye. Anyway, yeah, so I was looking at those ticket prices. I was like, yeah, like not good at all. Not good at all. So I'm not gonna be going. That's the whole point that I'm making. I'm not gonna be going. Um because I was really contemplating on just maybe trying to get some nosebleed seats. But then when I was thinking about it more, I'm going, how am I going to get out there? Do I really want to take the metro? No, not really. Especially with all the crazy shit that's been going on as of late with public transportation. You saw that messed up story that happened in New York where there was a person sleeping on the train, if I'm not mistaken. And no, honey. And they were uh set on fire. So I've been New York subway, New York City subway. Somebody was sleeping. This sick individual came, set them on fire while they were sleeping. And of course, the person died. The person died. I was like, whoa. And, not for nothing, but this didn't make headlines nationwide. But we had something that went down here in DC almost 2 weeks ago. There was a person that was on a bus and they were kind of sitting not quite towards the back, but for anybody that's been on the public bus at some point, you know how you've got those two seats and right behind the two seats is the back door. So you had this guy who was sitting on the outer seat, opposite from the window. And there was a guy that pretty much was standing behind him, kind of leaning towards the back door exits. And what this guy basically did, he took his lighter and he kept trying to set the back of the guy's shirt on fire, and he ultimately was successful. And all of this is on camera. You can see all of this on camera. It's a slightly grainy, but great visual because you can see the guy clear as day. You can see the victim clear as day. It was in black and white, but you can see everything that's going on. uh Dude was just off his rocker because the ride, like, this uncomfortable ride, it didn't stop from there. As this individual that tried setting the victim on fire was saying a whole bunch of incoherent, basically it was obvious dude was sick in the head. Now luckily he got apprehended, and think we're waiting to see what happens with him when it comes to trial and all that. But my whole point, like, the public transportation system is just not what it used to be. And that's the crazy part. When you take a step back and you think about it, it's not what it used to be, say 3 to 5 years ago. I mean, it's just gotten more crazy, and it's gotten uh more dangerous. It's kind of one of those roulette things where you're taking the public transportation at your own risk. And then if that's not enough, you trying to go to these events, you decide you want to take your ride. Okay, well, there's a parking lot that's over here, so I'll be able to use this parking lot, go to this event that I'm going to go to, and I don't have to worry. I'll be good for a couple hours. Now we got mofos that are going into these parking lots pretty much. See, what do I feel like today? Yeah, I'll go ahead and get me a Tesla. And they're still in those cars from the parking lot. And you're going, well, wait a minute. I'm going to the valet. I'm going to a parking joint where there's some type of security, and what the hell? And your guess is as good as mine, fam. So yeah, I think in this case, I will just kick back and I will enjoy the 72-inch flat screen TV, my nice bowl of popcorn, and enjoy the Smackdown and NXT Vengeance shows that way. Thank you very much. If you've been enjoying the show so far, make sure you do me a huge favor. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you do that. I think we definitely need to make sure going forward we hype up when we're going to be doing these shows. I know a lot of people aren't used to when we do Thursday shows. Everybody knows by now, okay, Mondays, pay-per-views, Lee for sure. Thursday nights, especially around this time, it's kind of one of those we're throwing a lot of people off. So I'll have to go back and check out the analytics to see what's the best time to put some of these shows out, because I'm being honest with you guys, and I appreciate those that's going to be checking this out for on demand. And I don't even need to say downloads, but I know that there's going to be a decent amount of you guys that's going to be representing, and you're going to be checking out the show, showing it some love for on demand and downloads. Appreciate my audio listeners as always. But yeah, Thursday around this time, it's a dead spot that I'm seeing right now, because we have barely had people that's trickled in during the stream so far. So I think going forward for sure, if we're going to be coming on with a bonus show, I definitely think we either do it Wednesday or we just stick to the weekends. I think that's definitely going to be a smart move going forward. Sorry if it kind of seemed like I'm being a little bit sidebarish with some of the stuff that I'm bringing up, but it's live, pal. Like we just go with the flow and pretty much whatever comes to mind. That's how we pretty much roll on here and everything. I'll tell you this though, going back to NXT, talking WWE and all of that. I'm hoping that in regards to SmackDown really gets shaken up because you look at what we've been getting with Monday Night Raw these past 2 weeks now, especially from a production value. You look at the fact that, wow, they are messing around with these drones, these drones. They're messing around with this, new wiring technology, wireless technology, getting these great camera angles, stuff that like really enhances the viewing experience and everything. And that's great. That's great. And you look at what seems like elevated quality and some of the booking, definitely in the matches that's happening on Monday Night Raw. Even though this is okay, we're gonna have some weeks where it's a 2.5 hour show. Hey, maybe some other weeks it's gonna be a 3 hour show. Okay, cool. But then you go over to SmackDown and you're going, okay, and what is SmackDown doing? Because at least when you're looking at NXT, you go, well, NXT, they've got their own unique and distinct identity here. So you know that, you can feel that, you can experience that, all that. But then when you get to SmackDown, it's like, okay, so what's going on with you, SmackDown? And it's pretty much not a goddamn thing. Really, there's nothing that really will, make you stand out. Nothing that you don't want to play around with different camera angles. You don't maybe want to. No, no, we're just gonna keep it just as it is. And I think the way, look, if you want to keep things the way it is right now with SmackDown, that's fine. But here's the thing. You got to at least switch it up in such a way where, okay, as far as our roster goes, our roster is going to be very distinct because we're going to have these people. And if I heard right, I believe the Wyatt Six are now supposed to be on SmackDown. We really need, and maybe by the time we get to SmackDown this week, hopefully we'll get a definitive, okay, hey, this is what's happened so far during these trade talks, whatever the hell you want to call it. But hey, this is what's happened. These people are now going to be part of SmackDown. This is going to go into effect, yada, yada, yada. Meanwhile, on Raw, Raw now has blah, 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 blah. But SmackDown, yeah, they definitely need all the help that they can get. I'm very excited to see going forward what's going to be happening with Jacob Fatu, Tama Longa, uh, all them Loas, Longas, all of them. I'm happy to see what's going to be happening with them. Solo Sokoa for sure. But we definitely need to see maybe some call ups. Maybe SmackDown becomes more of a unique show, especially since they've got that guaranteed third hour. Let SmackDown be poached for NXT stars. And if that means you've got to take Roxanne Perez, if that means you've got to take Trick Williams, if that means you got to take Ethan Page, if that means you got to put Omaz, if that means you have to, whatever you need to do it, but make SmackDown that same level of excitement that we're getting when it comes to Raw every single Monday night, fans need to be feeling that same kind of excitement for SmackDown. That way, everything balances out. You can't do a 3-hour SmackDown with what you have that's been in place for these past couple of weeks and expect for fans to continue to be going, boy, yum, 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 yum. It tastes good. Like, no, if you've been on social media, you've seen what's been happening these past couple of weeks. Fans have really not been feeling the SmackDown 3-hour experiment. They are already tired of it. They want to see something new come about. So keep that in the back of you all's head because we're not done talking about shaking things up and everything. Because look at the fact that TNA and WWE, they put out a press release earlier today talking about how they have expanded their partnership. Now, remember, they announced their partnership. That's going back, my God, what? I think they first announced it in 2023, it feels like. So it's amazing how much time goes by. But this new press release that they put out, WWE and TNA said that they basically are going to be extending on this partnership for, I believe, the next 5 years. So you hear that and you go, that is fantastic to hear. That's fantastic news, right? That, okay, WWE and TNA, they're going to continue. And it looks like, at least according to the press release, one of the many ways they're going to be expanding upon this partnership is talents are going to be appearing on NXT, and definitely WWE talents are going to be appearing on TNA. So that's good. When it comes to WWE's premium live events, we're going to be seeing more TNA talents appear. And look, that's great. I think that is fantastic. I think at this point, continuing to have TNA talents come through NXT before you even pull the trigger on, hey, let's have them go appear on SmackDown or Monday Night Raw. You want to start everything with NXT. I think that is a very wise and smart move if you're WWE. That is a very smart and wise move. Right down to the point, we look at what's been happening with Jordan Grace. And if Jordan Grace is in fact going to be inking a deal with the WWE, you know, that's fantastic. That is honestly a long time coming because I've been a fan of that woman's work for many, many years now. And I would imagine part of the reason why Tessa Blanchard is getting in with TNA, she's hoping that maybe she can somehow, when it's all said and done, make her own little path into the WWE. Only time will tell if she can keep her nose clean, stay out of trouble and everything. Then yeah, anything is definitely possible. But the number one thing that continues to concern me, the only thing that continues to concern me when it comes to TNA wrestling is how can we consume your product? How can we consume your product? In this day and age of media consumption, we are all over the place, are we not? Because we're doing $10 over here for whatever this subscription is. We're doing $15 to $20 for Spotify. We're doing, right? Just think about all those subscriptions that we have. And right now, the only way you're able to consume TNA is if you're lucky, you have the right cable satellite provider or TV package, right? Maybe you got Hulu or insert whatever, and you have access to Access TV. If you don't have access TV, then unfortunately, it's one of those deals where, oh man, I guess I got to pay the $9.99 for a TNA subscription so I can watch these episodes. Yeah, it's funny, not funny. I was on my phone earlier today, just out of curiosity. I had went on TNA site and I was trying to see if they had a back catalog of Impact Wrestling. And I could not find it. Now, maybe that's because I did not pay for a subscription. So for those of you that do have TNA Plus, you guys let me know. But it seems that from the migration from YouTube to, okay, now we're just going to dedicate everything to TNA Plus. We got to redesign it, yada, yada, yada. It seems like there's a lot of content missing on the TNA Plus redesigned website slash app. Now, unless it's a case where no, the app is lacking, it's the website you want to mess with. Again, I'm going to have to rely on you guys to let me and the rest of the community know what's going on. But the fact that not that many people in 2025 have access to access TV and they basically have to do the $9.99 a month deal, that's a travesty. It really, really is. Now, some of you may be saying, well, Lee, I remember there was a time where TNA on Thursday nights, you could just go on their Twitch channel and they would play episodes, whatever the new episode of Impact Wrestling was, clockwork every single time. They don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore. I wish I could credit which longtime listener it was that gave me the 411 on that. I want to say maybe it was Eddie that said, no, they don't do that anymore. They haven't done that in a couple of years, actually. So that TV deal, it's got to change. My whole point in regards to TNA, it's got to change. The TV deal has to change. I'm happy for TNA and this partnership that they're expanding with the WWE, but it doesn't mean a goddamn thing if they do not capitalize. And you got to capitalize in such a big way. And the way you capitalize in such a big way, you get yourself a better TV deal. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping that in 2025 we can see TNA do something. Uh, you know, I would love to see a situation occur where, and I wonder how WWE would feel about this, but look, if WWE can be on the CW Tuesday nights and on weekends we've got Wow Women of Wrestling. Obviously, WWE has no issue with Wow Women of Wrestling, right? No issues whatsoever. Yeah, just think about that for a second. Whereas with the old regime, no, we got to be the only ones that you're going to bed with. It's us and nobody else. So the fact that we've got WoW in syndication through CW, like that's great. What can we do there with? Let's see what we can do there with Impact Wrestling. How about Impact Wrestling on weekends? I would love it to be a situation where, honestly, I would love it if it could be a situation where Thursday nights, or if you want to just do weekends, that's fine too. But I would love it if it could be a situation where Thursday nights, Access TV, they get first crack, they get Impact Wrestling, right? But then weekends and syndication on the CW, or put in whatever network you think would be most feasible. You can have, but I'm going with CW because I'm thinking of a 1-2 punch on weekends. I'm thinking of, hey, how about if it was Impact Wrestling on this night during the weekends, and then as soon as that is over, you go to Wow Women of Wrestling, and you got yourself a nice 3-hour block of wrestling. How cool is that? How cool is that? So I'm hoping that at some point in 2025. That's the deal that can be made. Furthermore, I like the idea of TNA and WWE and this new partnership and everything. But I want to see. This is where I need to give AEW Tony Khan and crew a little bit of props here, because at least when Kenny Omega ended up becoming the TNA champion and all that, you're going, holy shit, what does this mean for TNA? Like, oh my god, well, obviously we're gonna have to watch AEW to find out what's gonna. And then the way that they were kind of doing it there with Kenny Omega, and pretty much setting up when he would return to TNA, it made things very interesting, very, very interesting. Now, I do feel in my heart of hearts, ultimately, WWE and TNA, they will get to that point. They will definitely take their cues from, okay, let's not operate this way, because not everything was perfect there, the way Tony Khan was doing it. Because remember how one-sided it was. Longtime listeners remember, we were here going, okay, yeah, it's pretty good, but it's so one-sided right now. Like, it seems that AEW is really the ones benefiting the most from this. How is TNA benefiting from this? They kind of really are not here. So WWE TNA second time around, right? Same playbook, but different partners this go around. They need to learn from what happened with that and perfect that. Perfect that. Like, you obviously cannot run with that playbook. But I would like to see things definitely get to a point where once I would like to see things get to a point where once TNA is able to secure a deal, a better television deal, then I think it makes all the sense in the world to maybe have that type of a arc intertwine. That way it can coincide with whenever they get ready to launch. You feel where I'm coming from? So if I'm just kind of looking at the grand scheme of things right now, I know some of my friends and colleagues in the podcasting world, they're going, oh, there's no way you'll ever see a situation go down where a WWE superstar loses a major title to a TNA star. Like, you can forget about that. And although that may be true, that may be true that a major WWE star doesn't lose their World Heavyweight Championship to a TNA talent. That may be true. But a TNA star losing their World Heavyweight title to a WWE star is highly, highly likely. And that's definitely what you need to pull the trigger on. So, if I have the ear of WWE and TNA, I'm going, look, TNA executives, Anthem, do what you got to do to sit down with Nick Khan and crew and go, look, we need help. We need a better TV deal. We have been in this purgatory status for so many years. We have tried the whole YouTube channel thing. We've tried, this whole app thing. It's obviously, not working. Let the con team, let them help TNA out, get them where they need to be, help them get that new TV deal. And then once they've secured that TV deal and everything, right? Obviously, there's going to be the press releases, all that other good stuff. Then I think you should go into what practically all fans definitely want to see, a real TNA WWE invasion. Then you go to, okay, what TNA world championship can we see go over to a WWE cat and basically have them cross over. That's going to be an epic moment when that goes down. That's going to be truly a WTF moment when that all goes down. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite, they had their Maximum Carnage edition. And when I heard this, I'm going, okay, Tony Khan, I see you. I see what you're doing here. And you know what? I love this. I'm actually a fan of this. So if you know your comic books, you're going, okay, this is obviously, we're talking Spider-Man here. But for those of you that don't know your comics, basically Maximum Carnage back in the day, it was in the 90s. It was a 14-part miniseries, and basically it tackled Spider-Man and Venom pretty much joining forces to take on this psychotic murderer that somehow gets a piece of Venom's symbiote, and they become Carnage. Basically, it's 14-part miniseries. Great stuff. Great stuff. Drawn by the talented, one of my personal favorite all-time comic book artists. He's definitely, if I were to make a top 10 list, he's definitely in my top 10. Mark Bagley. I am a huge fan of Mark Bagley. Which reminds me, have you seen some of the stuff that's going on with Todd McFarlane as of late? He is doing like these 1/6 scale figures from iconic comic book covers from back in the day. So for you comic book lovers, remember the very first appearance of Spider-Man in the black symbiote costume during Secret Wars? So he's actually done a statue version of that. And I think you can get that for like $30 on Amazon. It looks badass. You can either leave it in the box or you can take it out of the box. And it even gives you a display. Looks like the display. You can definitely pull it out and all that. It kind of give you an idea what I'm talking about. Relax, girls. I got it. Just to kind of give you an idea what I'm talking about. Here's Magneto from the X-Men #1 famous cover. And remember, this ended up being a gateway cover. I'm trying to zoom in here. But that's the actual figure that you're looking at. You got the sides, all that stuff. Go on Amazon and you can see better images of it and all that. Some really, really, really cool shit. I love it. But yeah, going back to Maximum Carnage, it was a 14-part miniseries just breaking down Carnage and Venom, Spider-Man. They basically had to put their differences to the side in order to take on this ferocious new entity known as Carnage. And it was so damn popular back in the day that a video game was made out of it. I actually remember the arcade version. I remember playing the Super Nintendo version, the Genesis version, and everything. It was a big deal back in the day. So when I'm hearing AEW Dynamite Maximum Carnage, I'm going, okay, it's the comic book nerd that's in Tony Khan and crew for naming this. I dig it. I'm sold. Carnage. Okay. Well, I know the definition of carnage. So, okay, you telling me basically whole bunch of shit. It's going to be going down. It's going to be crazy. It wasn't crazy. As far as Dynamite, it was not crazy. There definitely was not so much carnage. Lack of really there was nothing there at all. So let me see if I got this straight. Our main event match, we've got Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Moxley for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. First of all, the psychology that went into that match I wasn't a fan of. I was not a fan of seeing it. Just hear where I'm coming from. Even the hardcore AEW fans, just hear where I'm coming from before you sound off and you be like, oh, dislike. And I'm coming from a place of, hey, I mean well with my criticism, because I always like to, doesn't matter the promotion, where there's criticism, constructive feedback that needs to be given, ways of improvement, I'm always going to do that. So we pretty much have John Moxley fighting Powerhouse Hobbs straight up. That's how we're doing this. We're having him fight straight up. I was not a fan of that whatsoever. Did not like that whatsoever, because for me, I'm looking at Powerhouse Hobbs. I'm going, no, 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 no. It doesn't matter how crazy you might be. You can be the, Mr. Hardcore guy all you want, but this is a guy that can rip your goddamn head off. This is a guy that can rip your goddamn head off. This is a guy that can rip your goddamn arm off and beat you with it. Okay, let Powerhouse Hobbs, and I wish that the way that this could have been essentially built up, and it kind of seemed like maybe they were going in the right direction just a little bit there, where I had hope, because I remember the week before Moxley took a chair to the back of Hobbs, and Hobbs no sold that like a mofo, and Moxley just hauled ass. Moxley hauled ass, and I remember Marina Shafir got in the face of Hobbs. And then Yuta just came from out of nowhere, and Hobbs pretty much had put Yuta through the table. Moxley's looking on like, holy shit, okay, great. That's great. So we fast forward, we get to this match, and we've got Moxley. Yeah, I'm big, I'm bad. I be that crazy motherfucker. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna fight you head on. Yeah. No, I was expecting it to be a cat and mouse game. I was expecting Moxley, for all the, how can I phrase this? For all of the alleged sophistication that they have, this Moxley and the Death Riders, they're always talking in these cryptic riddles, and shit only makes sense to them and nobody else and everything. All right. So obviously it was like a game of chess, and they're basically like 5 moves ahead. I would have thought going into this main event match, they would have had Moxley set up in a way where, no, I'm not going to fight this guy head on. What I'm going to do at the start of this match, I'm going to just, God, I wish the way this would have went down, Moxley would have got in the face of Hobbs. You're going to make me your bitch, huh? And Hobbs is like, that's right, motherfucker. I'm going to make you my bitch. You're going to make me your bitch, huh? That's right. I'm going to make you my bitch. What's up? You're going to make me I'm going to make you my bitch. What are you going to do about it? Wham! Moxley just slaps the hell out of him. Slap the black off of Powerhouse Hobbs. Get him wound up. Get him pissed off. So much so, Hobbs starts chasing after him. And then at that point, you want to, while that's going on, have one of the Death Riders, Rough Riders, whatever you want to call them, have one of them kind of distract the referee while somebody gets in a cheap attack on Hobbs. Commentators right on cue. Oh, so that's the type of night we're going to have here in this main event, huh? There's that goddamn numbers game yet again. Okay, fine. But at least you're setting the tone as far as, okay, this is how we're laying out the psychology here, because it would have made a lot of sense for Moxley to not take Powerhouse Hobbs just head on, right? Play the cat and mouse game, get Hobbs worked up, get him fucking emotional, because the Powerhouse Hobbs that we have seen he is pretty much reactionary. There is no, no, I'm smart about this. I'm smart. No, he's very, and this isn't a knock, it's just the way that they have booked the character. Basically, he's narrow-minded. He's very narrow-minded. So that would have been something that a lot of fans would have been heavily invested in. And then if you wanted to follow up later on during this match, where okay, you know what? Moxley knows all these submission moves, and that's all great and everything. But you're taking on a powerhouse. No pun intended. And what's the greatest strength to this particular powerhouse? Everything that he needs to do, it's all in his upper body. He's relying on his upper body to be able to do XYZ. So how can you combat that? Well, even though his legs are just about as big and strong as his upper body, still, if you do something to the legs, you take away the upper body strength. So if you have it booked in a way where Moxley is focusing on those legs early on, and he is just targeting the hell out of Hobbs' legs. Okay, now we're on to something here. This match had so much potential, but for me, it just came up so goddamn short on a lot of levels. To see, they barely got the numbers game. They barely got that right. The way everything was laid out with the interference, that could have been designed so better. To then go to the finish where Hobbs is being choked out in the middle of the ring. I'm going, even as a fan, if I'm saying, well, I know how we got to this because Wheeler Yuta and his goddamn interference, Marina Shafir getting in some, low blows in there. Like, even if I know how, that's still just okay. And Moxley did this stuff to the knee, and Moxley did a DDT, and he did all, like, no. I still don't agree with the psychology that was put in this. I don't. They had a lot of potential here, and Tony Khan and crew, they fumbled it big time as far as I'm concerned, right down to the point to even put a spoiler out there, right? Check this out. As we are going into this main event match, and I think this really messed them up. As we're going into this main event match, they are so, and they did this at least twice. Hey, make sure you watch AEW Collision this Saturday. We're going to be seeing FTR, rated FTR, Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Chris Jericho and the Rough Riders, the Death Riders. And you're like, oh, what the hell? And the way the commentators had sold this, it would have been nice for at least Tony Schiavone or at least Excalibur. It would have been nice. Hell, even Taz, because this was one of those rare occasions where they dusted off Taz and they allowed him to sit at the big boys table for a change and call a damn match or two. I miss Taz. I love Taz. Nobody is better. Taz is good. He's excellent at what he does. I want more Taz. Give me more Taz and Excalibur and less Schiavone. Seriously. But for none of them to mention, hey, that's an interesting match coming up on Collision. And of course, man, are we going to be looking at a new World Heavyweight Champion by Collision? Thinking about that main event match? Like, none of them even mentioned that. I'm going, wow, are they really just giving away the spoiler here that Moxley's going to, like, we can't even pretend, Nobody thought for an instant that Powerhouse Hobbs was going to win the gauntlet. But man, you're looking at that, you're going, wow, that came from out of nowhere. This guy, and then you start leaning back in your chair and you're going, hey, he is an AEW original. Hey, this Moxley Death Rider thing, it's not really going as planned. I gotta admit, as a fan, seeing it early on, I thought it was promising. The direction I thought it was going to be going, it's obviously not going there. Right down to the point that now you're trying to tell me that all hope is on Cope. All hope is on Cope because pretty much Cope and Moxley coming up what is it? All in, not Grand Slam, all in basically. That's what we're leading up to is these guys fighting each other and the only way that is tolerable is if Christian Cage successfully cashes in that contract and he walks out as the new AEW World Champion. That's the only way this, because at least then we're like, okay, it's Christian Cage. We can't go wrong with a Christian Cage run, especially if it culminates in Christian Cage and Jeff Jarrett fighting each other for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's like, oh yeah, Cage, Jarrett, that's an instant classic for sure. That's an instant classic. I can even see Jarrett winning an AEW title off of Cage. I can even see that playing out. But they gave a major spoiler there. When you're looking at them hyping up Collision and all that, and the fact that they did not even end the broadcast by saying, man, look the amount of damage that was done to Powerhouse Hobbs. Are we even sure that this man is gonna make it into Collision? Remember, there's supposed to be this big epic tag match going down with all of these guys. Like, is that even gonna happen now? Right? You couldn't even end it on that type of a cliffhanger. Just yeah, I did not. And then look, not for nothing, but going back to Hobbs winning the battle royale and getting the opportunity to face Moxley, Tony Khan, AEW, what have you got to lose? What the hell have you got to lose? Just a couple of months. See what happens with Powerhouse Hobbs. See if that is a boost in your rating. See if that, but some can make the argument, well, Lee, now that AEW pretty much has no competition, Monday, Wednesday nights. There's nothing going on Wednesday nights. They've got it all to themselves now. And I did see what was going on with the ratings, by the way. As a matter of fact, I wasn't going to talk about the ratings until much later, but I believe for this week's AEW, I think they did like about 600 and why am I thinking 679,000? Kind of feels like maybe that's what they did. It went up. It definitely went up. Not by much, though. I think it went up by about 10, 15%. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's pretty good. Give me a second. I'm trying to see if I can find it for you guys here. Here it is. I see it now. Yeah, so this week's AEW did 679,000 viewers. So that's up about 10% from last week's show, which was 615,000. So, I mean, they are going up, but, it's not by much. I can't help but wonder, yeah, what would have happened had they pulled the trigger on Hobbs there? Right. And I definitely we'll talk about it on Monday's show. I definitely want to look at the quarter segment breakdowns because what I'm going to do, I'm going to do my own respected research. And when we come back here next week, I want to just particularly look at what's happening with those Moxley segments, seeing if for like the vast majority of them, seeing if they're losing the audience or if they're gaining. I think that's going to be a very telling tell in itself. So you had that. What else happened on Dynamite? That was the main thing that really just worked my nerve there. A missed opportunity to really elevate Powerhouse Hobbs, have him give such a strong, you know, performance and like even if you weren't going to make him be the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, just at least in defeat, if it would have been done in such a way where, hey, at least the psychology was definitely there. Everything was on point, but no. I know MJF and Jeff Jarrett, they ran it back yet again. Another promo. These promos, we got to make sure that we're not going as long-winded with these promos. Uh, I see some of the chatter that's out there about MJF. It's basically, look, maybe at some point this guy was dot dot dot, but not anymore. He has taken a serious, you could almost make an argument that when it came to pairing up with Adam Cole and doing the whole babyface thing, you could almost make an argument that really he hasn't been the same since. That really knocked him out there. You can make that argument. Um, I personally don't care about this MJF, Jeff Jarrett, whatever this thing is that's going on. If you want to call it a program or a feud, whatever, it does nothing for me, which is weird for me to say because normally, any other time I'd be like, you know what, two of my absolute favorites. Yeah, this should be pretty memorable, but it feels so forced. And I never thought that in 2025 I would find myself to be in a position where I'm more interested in what Jeff Jarrett is going to say and what Jeff Jarrett is going to do as opposed to MJF. Now, I think Tony Khan and them, I think they did some serious damage to MJF. Can they redeem themselves? Can they fix it? Yeah, but you first of all, you need to really take your time and really think things out. With a character like MJF, that is one of those guys where you really have to go, okay, we definitely, and you hear Tony Khan and them say, "Oh, we just think about it, on a week to week basis as we move it along." And you hear about how sometimes, a lot of times, nobody knows what's going to be happening until the day of, when they get there for the Dynamite shows. That's when they know like what's going to be happening. It sounds very chaotic, though, very chaotic, right? Especially the way Tony Khan talks about how he's got like 10, 12 people pitching him all kinds of, and he's trying to get it down to, that nice handful. Well, in the case of a guy like MJF, you definitely need to take a step back and go, okay, what is the 3-month outlook? Where are we trying to go with this guy? What's the 6-month outlook? What do we hope to accomplish by the 9-month outlook? Okay, what are we trying to accomplish in 12 months with this character? Highlight of the night for me, honestly, I thought the Hobbs joint was, but the true highlight of the night for me, MVP. MVP was in tag team action with Shelton Benjamin. It was great seeing MVP back in the ring as the Hurt Syndicate took on Mark Briscoe, Private Party. Good stuff. Good stuff. I love seeing this match for a couple of different reasons. One, giving me a taste of what I can expect of the Hurt Business when eventually they do get those AEW tag titles. And I don't know, maybe they can make those tag titles a little bit more relevant than what's currently happening right now with our current AEW tag champions. I'm telling you, it's like what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Ever since the Young Bucks pretty much said, "Tag, you're it," creatively, like nothing has been happening for Private Party. They've been an afterthought, which is a damn shame. And that should be working in storyline to the champion's advantage, to the point we should be seeing them come out expressing a huge chip on their shoulders because everybody's talking about this person and this newest acquisition and this talent over here, and yet nobody's talking about them, the current AEW World Tag Champions. Yo, need to put some respect on their names. They're not asking, like they're taking over now, right? And that's not even happening. MVP didn't miss a beat. MVP did not miss a beat. I can't believe that it's been 2 years since this guy has wrestled. 2 years. That's insane. It shouldn't be that long, not when the guy can pretty much still go when it's all said and done. Saw the return of Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe coming to the save there for Hook as he was about to get a serious beatdown. At least that's how it appeared by Christian Cage, Kip Sabian, who's the other one? Nick Wayne. Samoa Joe coming out there pretty much evening up the odds. Great seeing Samoa Joe. I miss Samoa Joe. Happy to see him back. We had a women's casino gauntlet. The winner of that one was Tony Storm. So we're going to be seeing Tony Storm challenging Mariah May for that AEW Women's Championship. I believe that's going to be happening at Grand Slam, right? I'll have to rely on you guys to correct me on that. Yeah, it's for Grand Slam. It's for Grand Slam. By the way, Megan Bayne made a rare appearance. I believe this was her Dynamite debut, and that had got a lot of people talking. You know, this is a name I hate to say, I tried to tell you, but Megan Bayne was somebody I had tried to mention a couple of years ago to you guys. And I say, yo, you definitely want to pay attention to this girl, right? I've been following her work off and on for, I would say, the past 3, maybe almost 4 years now. Damn good. I mean, she is damn good. So you have all this chatter that's going on about her current status and everything, as far as is she signed to AEW or isn't she? Like, what's going on with her? Well, there's a report. I think it's from our good friends over at PW Insider. And they are noting, let me see if I can pull this up here. They are noting that she's been signed to AEW for a while now. Apparently, she's been signed to AEW for over a year and a half. And she's pretty much been spending the vast majority of that time working for the Stardom promotion. But it's expected that maybe now going forward, she'll be featured more on AEW television. So you hear that, and if you're a fan of Megan Bayne, that's great. If you were visually impressed by Megan Bayne and it was your first time seeing her and you want more of her, that's fantastic news. However, you know, we're thinking about other women that made quite an impression on us on AEW television going, well, what about these girls? I'm looking at Harley Cameron. As entertaining as she is, you know, I love that woman to death. You know, we can't keep having her always, okay, nice, funny, hilarious skits, always gets her ass beat. Like, you got to toss her that bone sooner or later. I mean, she's really becoming, and I mean this in the most respectful way, but you guys will get what I'm talking about. She really is becoming the Chelsea Green just for AEW. You know, she is that MVP. Seriously. And yeah, you got to do something. You got to do something with Harley Cameron. You can't keep just having her always get her ass handed to her. So hopefully 2025, still early, some big things will happen for Homegirl. But besides Harley, who has a lot of upside, I'm also looking at Willow Nightingale. A lot of upside right there. Queen Amanada. I'm looking at Red Velvet. I'm looking at Layla Gray. What's going on with Camille Brickhouse? I'm watching a bunch of these Dynamite shows, and now it just seems like Camille has just dropped off the face of the earth. I'm going, did I miss something? Did she get injured? What, you know? So they got enough, to my whole point, they got enough women that they can focus on right now. And it's like, okay, look, that's great that this talent got a reaction. That's great that, over here you got that reaction for that star, but you're having a hard time as it is, Tony Khan and crew. You're having a hard time as it is juggling what you got. Like, how are you going to? This is where the power of having such a big roster. This is where you really have to sit down and go, okay, look, honestly, I know we're doing a Wednesday show. I know we're doing a Saturday show. But do I really need to spam the hell out of pretty much 75% of my roster from Wednesday going into the Saturday show? Probably not. I could probably get away with just, two main story arcs that I can adopt for the Saturday show. And as far as my talents go, I could probably mainly just use, maybe this star from Wednesday and this star over here from Wednesday, and insert them on the Saturday show. But I definitely want to try to showcase more of my roster, because there are, some talents that just, weeks on end, sometimes months on end. I can't help but think about Nyla Rose, for example, and the whole inconsistencies that's going on, with them. Ay, 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 ay. Just thinking, anything else I want to talk about from Kenny Omega, Brian Cage. Great match. Solid match up there. Very surprised that they had opened up with that. Very surprised they opened up with that. I would have thought that would have been the hook, line, and sinker. Like, stick around. Kenny Omega, he's making his AEW in-ring return, for the first time. And I would have thought we would have kept building up, right? Maybe not have that be the match before your main event, but for sure it would have been deeper in the card there. Kind of interesting that they went on ahead and opened things up with that match, but not really it did not have that big show feel. There was nothing significantly milestone-ish important about this episode. So if you missed it, you honestly were fine when it's all said and done. A average episode. Some would probably say a below average episode at best for this week's Dynamite. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with that one. Let's talk about this whole Corey Graves situation. So I was not even aware of this Corey Graves stuff when it went down, because we were on the air Monday night, and apparently late Monday night, Corey Graves had put out a couple of cryptic posts. And you're going, wait a minute, is this a shoot or is it a work? And I know Meltzer had chimed off, basically trying to cover all his bases, rather than say, I don't know. It's a simple, I don't know. Let me check in with my respected sources. He's just pretty much, give me 20 on black, give me 50 on red hair, give me Right. He's covering his spread, making sure it's all right here. But this is what Corey Graves had said on social media here. Uh, kind of crazy, kind of crazy here with Corey Graves. See, I got Kevin Kelly's thing because Kevin Kelly, he ended up responding to what he had read about Corey Graves. Give me a second here because I thought I had Corey Graves tweet, and I know he deleted it, but that's the thing. Once you put it up on social media, that is basically it. It is forever out there in the web. And it sucks. It sucks when shit like that happens. That's why I always say to you guys, if you've been checking out the show for a long time, what's the one thing I say when it comes to social media? When you're getting ready to put something out there, hold yourself accountable to that number one golden rule before you publish whatever you're going to publish on social media, which is think about that tweet, think about that post. If you have to even hesitate for 1 second, then you probably should not put that post out. It would probably do you loads better to just go on ahead. It will probably do you loads better to just go on ahead and leave that post alone, right? Just delete it. Go cool off, get you a Pepsi, whatever. Do what you got to do and shake it off. Maybe come back the next day and you'll be good to go. That's always been my golden rule there. Let's see here. I'm trying to find. I think I found the post. Yeah, so here it is. Let me see here. Imagine chasing your dream and then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty fucking awesome at it. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job. Just in case you've ever wondered where I've been. So he followed that up later on saying, I have a lot to say. See you on NXT. Well, then word got out. Well, Corey Graves, he lives in Pittsburgh. He just happens to travel out to Florida for the NXT shows. And they were saying, hey, looks like there's only 2 chairs that's being set up here. There's no Corey Graves. And I guess some people were saying normally Corey, I guess he does the commentary for the speed shows that they put out on social media. But long story short, no Corey Graves in sight, not even in the back. So you're wondering, okay, what's going on here? Oh, is this a shoot? Oh, Corey Graves is they're doing an angle where he's gonna start wrestling again. Look, let me tell you something. Because this is like a lot of guesses. A lot of guesses. What I'm gonna tell you is this. From what I remember of Corey Graves as a wrestler, the first rodeo, this isn't me being a dick. This isn't me being mean. This is me just telling you where my head was at. But if you want me to follow up on, okay, where are you now, 2025, Lee? Like, what do you say about Corey Graves now? The first rodeo of Corey Graves as a wrestler, myself, vast majority of the wrestling community were like, this is a poor man's version of CM Punk. Like, why? When I got the real deal over here. Like, seriously. Seriously, I want the latest Xbox. There's no reason for me to go back to the very first Xbox. Like, come on, man. That's what was going on with Corey Graves way back then. Could I maybe I even remember when it came to him on the microphone. Certain mannerisms, I mean, he just screamed knock off CM Punk. He just screamed knock off CM Punk. And it was kind of one of those deals where, okay, he obviously needs to find himself more, find his character more. Me personally, thinking about it way back then, I just was not convinced that, okay, put the injury to the side, like pretend the injury never happened. Would he have thrived? Would he have been would he have been successful on the card? Would he have been a good mid-carder and all that? He didn't have the body. I know that for sure. His body he was in that Baron Corbin kind of body-ish. And again, this isn't me being harsh. This is me I'm honestly thinking back to how it was then. And yeah, I don't know, fam. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where you go, maybe the injury that happened with him, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Who knows? But a Corey Graves wrestling in 2025. Yeah, no. That is a hard That is a hard 180, and only the hardcore wrestling fan would be able to go, "Oh my god." Like only the hardcore fan would. What is he, 40 going on 41? So it's not like he's an old man or anything. It's not like that. My whole thing is if you're going to do something with Corey Graves, if you're going to do something with Corey Graves, I think the number one thing that would make heads turn and all of that good shit, if it was me booking in WWE, I'm going Corey. Because remember when Corey had said a couple of years ago, he's cleared, he's good. Like he could wrestle if he wanted to, but he's good. He likes where he is right now. He's good. Well, if I'm somebody in WWE, I'm going, well, you know what? Let's blur the lines a little bit. Corey, let's blur the lines a little bit. So we got this Seth Rollins and CM Punk feud that's going on and everything right now. What if that ended in a way where, and nobody would see this coming, what if that ended in a way where Corey Graves, maybe he could be a max person or whatever that basically screws CM Punk from getting a dub over Seth Rollins at, whatever pay-per-view. Takes the mask off, takes the hoodie off. It turns out it's fucking Corey Graves, and right? Now that would be something that you follow it up on Monday Night Raw. Corey Graves, like, okay, Corey Graves, CM Punk. Okay, great. At least you're starting him off on a white hot, right? You got him on a, out the gate, nice and hot. Nice and hot. And then you can pretty much build from there. That's how you're going to do it. What you're not going to do is have Corey Graves go to NXT and basically, okay, so we're going to try to do some stuff with you. Like, so this whole notion of, oh, what's that's a work. No, I was not picking up work whatsoever. Right down to the point. I remember looking at his facial expressions. I had told the wife about it, and I actually showed it to her the night before. And we paused it, and she was like, Yeah, I know that feeling. He's real salty. Go back and watch that again. Corey looked extremely uncomfortable. He looked perturbed. And Vic Joseph, he's got his hand on the back of Corey and he's doing his best to, hey, that a boy, it's going to be all right, shake it off. And Corey just looks beside himself. I get it. I get it. Corey has every single right to feel the way he feels. Not for nothing, Corey, and look, many of us can relate to what Corey Graves is going through, whether it's you or somebody that you know in your own life that is experiencing what Corey is experiencing. We all have gone through what Corey is going through. Oh man, the books are opening up. The books are opening up. Oh yeah, man. I've been putting in the time. I've been working OT for these past 6-7 months, couple of years now. Man, everything the employers asked me to do, I've done it. And then some. Instead of putting in 100%, I gave them 150%. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get that promotion. Yeah, you know what that means? Oh man, I'd be more pay, more this, more that. Books open up, your ass get overlooked. Your ass get overlooked for this person that only been working the joint 6 months, and you've been there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. They getting what you making. And you had to put in how many years to get that pay rate? I mean, let's be real. That's because that's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about here. So I get where Corey Graves is coming from, but there is a right and a wrong way of conducting your business. You don't air out your dirty laundry. You don't let motherfuckers know what you think are thinking about your employer, especially when you're thinking about them in a negative light. You don't let motherfuckers know about that publicly on social media. You don't do that. You internalize that. And if it's eating you up that much, then you go to the powers that be and you go, yo, I just want to know what's going on. All the time that I've put in, I thought for sure I had earned my spot. XYZ. What's up? What did I do something wrong? Can you tell me what can I do so I can, make sure that like what's going on? And if you don't like the answer that's been given to you, then at that point, you have a decision to make, which is okay, you obviously feel disrespected. You don't feel valued. You don't feel appreciated. So, what can you do here to rectify this? What can be done for you to do you maybe see if you can take your ball and go elsewhere? I saw all this chatter that was going on where, folks were like, oh, WWE, they can't afford to lose Corey Graves. They can't afford to lose Corey Graves. I hate to burst that bubble, but let's be for real. Let's be for real. If Corey Graves were to go, hey, look, I want out. Okay, you don't want to do NXT and you don't want to be that guy knowing damn well that Pat McAfee is going to have to disappear after a couple of months, and then you essentially are going to be able to slide right back in there, right? Like it's you don't okay, well, we got Big E waiting. I know many of you guys don't watch the Today Show, but it was a breath of fresh air seeing the new co-anchor who's from right here in Washington D.C., Craig Melvin. Oh man, it was great seeing him kick off the week as the new co-host there with Samantha Guthrie. That brother's going to do fantastic. I'm looking at Big E, very, very promising color commentator. If that's what he wants, if that's what he wants, I think he's gonna freaking hit it out of the park. And the way that you can start really brushing him up and all that good stuff, if it was up to me personally, I would have Big E have him start off doing the speed shows, let him do the speed shows, and then once he's okay, he's good, he's about ready. Then you put him on the NXT shows, and then kind of go from there. But if Corey doesn't want to, if he thinks NXT is beneath him and all this other stuff, then it's okay. Well, we're sorry that you feel that way, but hey, we got other people that can do it. We got other people that will be just fine. We'll be just fine. I'm sure they would hate to lose him, but in the long haul, they will be just fine. We didn't think Taz was going to go anywhere. Taz ultimately went to TNA. Somehow WWE managed. Some thought Josh Matthews was pretty good. We saw what happened. We saw what happened with that. Bit divided fans were when it came to JBL on commentary, but once JBL pretty much was done, somehow we were able to get past that. The times that Pat McAfee has left WWE has somehow been able to manage. I don't know why he operated the way that he did, fam. But this is one of those times where when I personally look at social media, this is why I scaled back drastically on the social media. And I don't do it the way that I used to. There used to be a time where when it came to social media, I would do like the Discords, for example. And I would talk in such a way where how you hear me talk, because you see a lot of podcasters do this. They create this big, obnoxious, over the top, loud character. And then when you see them in person, they don't act anything like how they are on the show. I don't roll like that. The way I always roll is, hey, what you see and hear of me, that's the same person you're going to get in person. Always wear my heart on my sleeve. I always tell it how it is. But when I was knee deep in the whole social media stuff back in the day, including with like Discord, people were taking things that I was saying completely out of context rather than ask for, clarification. Hey, what do you mean by that exactly? Because I'm thinking you're meaning this one way. Like, motherfuckers would be thinking the absolute worst with some of the stuff that I would be saying, that it got to a point. The hell? They must hear mommy. I don't know. That it got to a point where I said, yeah, you know what? Let me just scale back on all the social media stuff, because this, yes, it's a nice outlet to be able to vent but man, heaven forbid you say the wrong thing when it comes to venting. You put the wrong thing out there, it's forever in social media land. You're not going to be able to take it back. So I scaled back drastically. And I've said to friends, colleagues, associates, I've said, hey, hit me up on the cell phone. You got my number, give me a call, hit me. Some of them take me up on that. And then others, I ain't heard from them in months. I try not to take it personal. I just go, well, if you're not calling me, you're not texting me, that's on you. It's like, I ain't dating you. I'm not going to be hounding you down. It's like, you got my number. You definitely slide in my DMs. That's open. I made sure of that. It is what it is. So I get how some people like to use social media as a coping mechanism. And I think that's what was going on with Corey here. Obviously he was frustrated about, it's like, hey, you got your wife and your kid though, man. Like, go to them, refer to them, let them know your deepest thoughts. Man, this fucking company, like, let them know all that stuff. Don't on social media. I don't think this was a work whatsoever. I definitely don't think this was a situation where he was trying to put himself in some type of a situation where he was going rogue, and kind of similar to what happened with the New Japan Pro Wrestling commentator from a couple of weeks ago, and he got disciplined. I don't think that's anything at all. So look, younger people out there, learn from the Corey Graves situation and heed what I'm saying. There's a right and a wrong way of conducting your business. Look, let me tell you something, and I'm sure my wife won't mind me sharing this. See, unlike some podcasts where they just, they talk about the news, like, we can connect this to real life very easily. That's the type of full context, emotional context that you're always going to be able to get here on this show to help you really be able to understand a lot of this stuff that's going on in this crazy world we live in and everything. Look, Corey Graves, and I'm sure my wife wouldn't mind this, but at her job, she's been there 7 years. She got passed up 3 times on being a general manager. And it's gotten to a point now where each time she's been passed up, she's not told why she got passed up. She's not even told, like, and she's physically gone and, hey, I'm just, what do I need to work on? Did I do something wrong? Like, oh no, you're doing a great job. And it's like, well, if you're doing a great job, everything's peaches and cream, why isn't she getting the general manager position? Like, what the hell is going on? That she's now at a point where she's like, I don't feel respected. I don't truly feel valued. And it's like, when you don't feel that anymore, it's definitely time to go. It's definitely time to go. I told her, I said, well, welcome to the house. Like, it's like, you got to do what you got to do. Obviously, it's like, I tried to tell her for the longest time. It's like, look, right down to the point. Every time her boss does these Christmas parties, look, I'm not the only one that's noticed this. Like, some of her other coworkers, definitely her coworkers, significant others have noticed this. Hey, how come when it comes to these get-togethers, these little Christmas party get-together events, your boss doesn't know how to work the room and go around, hey, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Thanks for coming. How come this guy doesn't know how to grab a drink? Ask for everybody's attention and say, hey, I appreciate you guys coming here. And, hey, team, y'all did a fantastic job. Really appreciate you all. He just thinks by giving a card, with a, $100 little Christmas bonus thank you, like, that's no, it's much, goes much more than that. It's beyond that. It's beyond that. When you are in a position where you feel as though your work is not being appreciated, you don't feel that you're valued, you don't feel that you're respected, understand something. You got to have all of those acting cohesively. If there's a fracture in even one of those with your employer, you're not going to last that long. And I got this saying, don't end up becoming a bitter asshole. Leave while you still got your smile and you're still feeling internally, you're still feeling good about yourself and your work. Because once you start having that self-doubt in your head, you start going, okay, man, I must be doing something wrong, or, they must not think. Now, look, if somebody actually said to Corey Graves, you're not famous enough, the perfect retort to that, no matter how we may feel about Corey Graves, the one thing that we all can definitely say, putting our differences to the side on Corey Graves, the one thing that we can definitely say is, well, you know what? He might not be a David Beckham. He might not be a Dwayne The Rock Johnson or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, but you know what? The guy has definitely put in his time. any and everything that's been asked of him. He's done that and then some. So we're just going to all of a sudden, you feel where I'm coming from? So food for thought on that one. I thought it was kind of interesting what Thunder Rosa had to say about the Corey Graves situation. Just as much as I thought it was interesting what Kevin Kelly had said. As look at that, Kevin Kelly giving his seal of approval to Corey Graves, saying, "Put me and Corey Graves together at the desk. Corey would become the biggest commentary star in wrestling because I would actively try to get him over. Let his star shine." A fan had chimed in afterwards, and Kelly had said, "All I wanted to do was call wrestling. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd have to listen to a stuttering son of a billionaire feeding me lines and then correcting himself and telling me I was doing great. They waited until I had a mental breakdown to fire me." Now I know some people, at the time that Kevin Kelly, was saying all of that, I know some people were going, "Oh, here we go. He's playing the victim card here. He's trying to get the sympathy for," but let's just, hypothetically speaking, let's just say that what I just read to you is the truth. It goes back again to what I was just talking about earlier, where, hey, you start thinking about your worth, right? Your value. You start second guessing yourself, your ability, and damn, did I do something wrong? Like, what the hell is wrong with me? And all this other stuff. And I'm curious to see how that I don't have a new update on the whole Kevin Kelly and the boys AEW Tony Khan lawsuit situation. That last I had saw is pretty much still where it last was. It's still there hasn't been a settlement yet. That much I do know. There hasn't been a settlement yet. Got an update for NXT for you guys. Remember we had that one number that was running around 957,000 and we're like, God damn, that's the power of the Rock. And by the way, that Rock NXT promo, shout out to Jim Cornette and Brian Last, who summed that segment up perfectly. I can't tell you, when I was watching NXT in real time and I had put my initial reactions out there to that segment, and y'all remember, because I said it word for word. I told you guys what I said about that segment and I expanded upon it. The few people that were coming at me on social media, calling me a hater, and all kinds of, I'm like, there was some salty motherfuckers out there. I'm not lying to you guys. There were some salty motherfuckers out there, and I'm just going, okay, The Rock can obviously do no wrong in their eyes. Cornette nailed that shit perfectly. I was nodding my head the whole time listening to that clip going, somebody gets me. Somebody understands me. Like, he didn't say shit. He didn't say shit. But anyway, 957,000. Remember that number from the NXT New Year's Evil little special that they did there? Turns out that number was inaccurate. It was inaccurate. Nielsen adjusted the rating and viewership for that New Year's Evil episode of NXT. It looks like it was actually 798,000 for that January 7th edition of NXT. Again, 798,000. So not too shabby, right? And then for those of you that's curious, as far as this week goes, this week did 779,000. So That's a pretty good retention. And for those of you, just for trivial purposes, if you're curious how that NXT New Year's Evil Saturday Encore edition did, that did yeah, I think it did like about 279. Yeah, it did 279,000 viewers. So not too shabby. Also, we got Royal Rumble that's going to be coming up in, at this point, a week and a half. For you Trish Stratus fans out there, Trish Stratus, and I have a feeling she's going to definitely be involved in the Royal Rumble. Our girl's definitely going to be making an appearance. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. She's actually going to be doing a meet and greet Royal Rumble weekend in Indianapolis. So for those of you that are in the Indianapolis area, maybe you plan on going for the Royal Rumble. Take advantage if you got some extra money and you always wanted to do something there with Trish Stratus. I'll make sure the link is included in the episode description. But check this out. January 30th to February 2nd, she's going to be at the Indiana Convention Center, Hall E. And if you want to do a photo op with her, it looks like she'll be, I'm seeing what's available right now. Again, what's available right now. Right now, I'm seeing Friday, group 2, 4:25 p.m. if you want to do a photo op. It is $80.29. That includes $6.29 in fees. If you want a printed copy, that's going to be $6.28 each. That also includes $1.28 in fees. If you want her autograph, that's going to be at 3 p.m. on that Friday. I am seeing $74.87, $5.87 in fees. And let me just refresh this just to see if, because you never know, because it might be gone. Yeah, and it disappeared just like that. Now, when you go on the site, it says you are now in line. You are in line for WWE Royal Rumble photographs and autographs. When it is your turn, you will have 10 minutes to enter the website. That is the first time I have ever seen this. What the hell? And apparently, so it keeps refreshing just like that. Okay. And now I'm back in it again, and I'm seeing the same information. Friday, group 2, 4:25 p.m., the photo op. Friday, 3 p.m. Is basically the autograph joint. So, you can take advantage. Or if you don't mind waiting about 2 months, you can always go on Trish Stratus's website, and she's got 8x10s, all kinds of stuff that you can take advantage of over there. You all remember, because what was it? Wasn't it New Year's Day? She did something. There was something that came out. Yeah, she was on a fitness cover joint, and she did like a 10-page spread. And basically, for like the first 100 customers, she was giving a bonus autographed 8x10 or whatever. Take advantage of that, though. I'm definitely interested in some Trish Stratus autographs. I know what I have in mind, though, as far as like what I would like for an autograph. When I describe this, you're going to be like, Lee, that's practically every single Trish Stratus image from back in the day. No. There's this one image I love Trish Stratus to this very day. And when I describe this, feel free to hit me up on social media. Or if you feel like you may get like cat calls or, hey, you're a pervert, you can email it to me, the RCWR SHOW at gmail.com. Make sure you put the THE in there. Back in the day, there was there's two that come to mind. I think they were part of the same spread. But there was this one photo spread that Trish Stratus did back in the day where she was on this beach. That much I remember. She was on this beach and her hair was nice and wet and it was kind of tangled up and it almost kind of had like a Pamela Anderson type of thing going on when Pamela Anderson used to be on Baywatch and everything. And Trish had this wet white top that was on, and I think it was tied up in the front. And I believe she had on either a red or pink swim bra that was there, separate from the swim panties, the swim underwear. And there was this one spread where the cameraman got her on the side. They looked at her on the side and she's looking into the camera and she's just laid in the sand and she's kind of shifting her butt towards the camera. And it's like, oh. And then there was another one where Trish Stratus bends down on all fours, same outfit, but this time she's looking dead straight at the camera, but she's, pretty much laying on the sand, arched, butt raised high in the air. Those two joints, I would like for her to sign those two. If you know the images that I'm talking about, hit your man up, because I know bull. I would so get her, and I would just love to see her reaction to autographing those photos. I wonder what would happen. Like, has she seen it all? Would that be a little bit too risque for her to sign now? And I'm most curious. Hey, shout out to our sponsors. Got a couple of sponsors I want to make sure that we show some love to before we dip up out of here. My phone has been blowing up like every couple of minutes because on the Facebook page I have the Bob Uecker tribute thing that's going on. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors, some new people that we had hooked up with, particularly one is an independent wrestling company that's based out in Central Illinois. I want to give a shout out to the 01 USA promotion. They would like for you guys to consider supporting their training school by purchasing a $5 tier package on their Patreon. And that'll get you full access of videotapings of their weekly Thursday night show that takes place in Edgewood, Illinois, showcasing 01 USA talent and trainees from their own dojo and others that's been working very hard to prove themselves. Shows date back to January 5th, 2023. So relatively new, gives you guys an opportunity to catch up on what all you've missed. And that's basically 100 shows that you can access right now on their Patreon page for just $5. These athletes are trying to prove they have what it takes to climb the indie rankings. They have talent leveling from vets with over 18 years experience to young wrestlers getting their first matches in front of the crowd. They definitely would appreciate your support, especially if you appreciate all things independent wrestling. Check them out. Patreon.com/01USA. Put in the actual number one in there. Patreon.com/01USA. Happy to have them on board as a sponsor of this show. Also, I want to give a shout out to the good folks over at wiseacre.us. You heard me right, wiseacre.us. Now, before you go, this actually has to do with comic books. I'm really happy to be working with these guys because I do love all things comic books. So they want for all of you comic book lovers out there, dreamers and adventurers, especially if you have that comic book lover and admirer in your life, check these guys out. From the streets of Chicago to the depths of space and gripping tales of heroism to heart-pounding battles, Wise Arc Comics, Wise Acre Comics delivers stories that rival the greats. They're not just creating comics, they're building worlds. Whether it's the electrifying journey of Magnus, the heart-stopping suspense of Crisis, they've got their own little Crisis event that's going on right now, or the supernatural saga of Vivi. Each story is crafted with passion, creativity, and meaning. So check them out. Go to wiseacre.us. That's WISEACRE.US. Check them out. Happy to have them on board. Great portfolio of work too. You guys definitely won't be disappointed with them. And last but not least, check out nqbyg.com. It looks like if this is for the ladies out there, fellas. So keep this handy for you ladies, because Valentine's Day is right around the corner and everything. Or maybe you just want to give it to them so they can get the ball rolling or whatnot. But you men can benefit from this too, because it looks like from trendy women's and men's collections to comfy shoes, bags, and accessories, NQBYG has it all. If you need a home refresh, you can check out their home and living collection. Everything from kitchen must-haves to cozy decor. Why shop anywhere else when you can find everything at NQBYG? Visit them today at nqbyg.com, your one-stop e-commerce shop. Shout out to all of those sponsors. We got other sponsors too. I'll make sure we have those linked in this episode description. Boy, we did two deluxe episodes for you guys this week. I really hope that you guys appreciate it. Loaded up week. I mean, I thought from what happened over the weekend going into Monday, that was pretty much going to be it. But then we had, some deaths that went down, and then some very interesting little news tidbits that went down as well. We aren't done here. Tam said she definitely wants to sit down this weekend and do a edition of Wrestling with the Topics. What I don't know right now is if we're going to be doing that Friday, or if she's thinking we're definitely going to be sitting down and doing it sometime over the weekend, maybe most likely Sunday afternoon. I think it really depends on what's going on with the NFL schedule and all of that. So long as you're staying connected on social media, you guys will definitely know what's up. Stay connected. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. If you enjoyed this episode, like, share, especially if you're going to be checking it out via YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button. For those of you that maybe are going to be watching this encore via Twitter and other outlets, show the YouTube stream some love. Like, literally, you don't have to watch it all over again, but just let the episode play, hit the like, and then, maybe like come back like 30 minutes. You can switch to another video or, watch something else or whatever. It's all good. But those likes, definitely want to try to boost the retention time and all of that. All of that combined really helps us be able to branch out, expand our reach of audience and all of that. So I will see you guys for something as far as Wrestling with the Topics go. I'll see you guys this weekend. And then don't forget, your next edition of the RCWR show will be coming at you all for Monday night, January 20th, 2025. You definitely want to tune in, because I will be able to I'll give you my thoughts on the inauguration and all that. I don't know if I'm going to be going down there because I'm thinking back to what happened in 2017. Thank God I didn't go. And it's like, it might be crazy again, right? I was thinking from a journalism media perspective as far as like going and taking my rig and, covering the event, shooting different film and all that. There was part of me that was thinking, maybe go from that aspect, but I don't know, man. Your boy's very, very leery, very, very leery right now. I don't want to be nowhere near DC, but I'll give you guys just a little bit of my thoughts on what's going on with the inauguration, since it's happening right here in my own backyard and all that. Oh yeah, don't forget, your man's on Blue Sky. Hit me up on Blue Sky, the RCWR show. Until next go round, my pretty babies, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Take care, y'all.